Hey everyone, it's Jack. Do the words Scarlet Bobo, looks are a no-no, dressed like a clown and it showed in the promo mean nothing to you? Today we're talking about Drag Race promos, specifically the US seasons, but if I were to talk about Scarlet Bobo and Canada 1, it would rank pretty high. The promos for Drag Race introduce us to the new season, the new vibe, what to expect out of the show, and honestly, especially during the earlier seasons, it was a good gauge of where we're at in the show budget-wise. I'll talk about both of these promos later in the video, but going from like season 3 to season 4, you can really tell the difference in the budget and how it increased and kind of brought the show into its new era. One of the most popular videos on my channel to this date is where I define the eras of Drag Race, and something that I didn't talk about in that video is the promos for Drag Race and how they could help to shape out the eras as well. So I'll try my best to touch on it in this video while we go through the ranking. Like a lot of my other rankings, there's no real rhyme or reason to what I put where. It's just how I feel. Most of it I would say is based off of the video promo, but then I'll also look at the looks as well. If anything, the looks will serve as like a tiebreaker. When Bob did this a little while back, he was definitely looking more at the looks than I will. What gets me hyped and excited for the season is the video itself, so I'm looking way more at that. Right before we jump in, just a couple more things. If you enjoy my content, please consider subscribing. We're getting pretty close to 100k, which is crazy. Only a small percent of you guys are, yada yada yada, you get it. Also, there's a couple seasons that don't have promos. Season 1, there may be a promo that is floating out there. I couldn't find one. Bob didn't have one in his video. All Stars 5, because the promo would have been shot in 2020, it didn't have a promo. Weirdly enough, All Stars 7, the winner's season, didn't have an official promo. It had a great photo shoot and behind the scenes, but nothing official of the queens getting on the camera saying, "I'm here to snatch the crown." It did have a lot of other things leading up to it, like a really cool animation and stuff, so it's not like there wasn't anything. To me, it's just a little odd, and it's another way that they kind of fumbled the all winners era. And finally, All Stars 8, there was no promo, just another behind the scenes shoot, and it kind of sucks because I really like the theme, and I think it could have made a really cool promo. Jordan T over here on YouTube, kind of the unsung hero of the Drag Race community, they made a fan promo for All Stars 8 that is so high quality and so entertaining. Please go check that out. I'll link it in the description. And just to clarify, there's a difference between like a season teaser where they're showing clips from the show and a full-on promo where they're on a set just for the promo. You'll catch on pretty quick. And one last thing, so sorry, some of these promos are lost or I just can't find them. I went on the Wayback Machine and it couldn't pop up. So some of them are pretty low quality. I apologize about that. Ranking season 2 at dead last feels almost like low-hanging fruit, like bullying, because it's just really safe to rank the first promo, the one with probably the least budget, last, but when I watch it, I just don't really get a lot out of it. The song they used is pretty catchy. I think the queens were able to do enough with what they were given, but the green screen and the lighting and the fits, it gives really low quality, so I think everyone looks good, especially for the time they look good, just nothing really memorable, and I wasn't a huge fan of how they were just kind of in a black void, especially RuPaul just standing there in darkness. For a first try, not a bad job whatsoever.
Me? I'm just a humble gal with a little reality show.
One that is actively bad that I could have justified putting at the bottom though is season 7. Coming off the season 6 promo, one that, spoiler alert, is going to be ranked a lot higher than season 7, I really do not know what they were thinking. I don't know if the budget for the promo got slashed or they were trying to go something for the basics, because I think the theme was back to the basics, but for the season that put so much emphasis on fashion and fashion queens like Violet and Miss Fame, they really gave them very little to work with the outfits, and then you get to this white wall that they're using that is probably just like a wall in the warehouse. The promo just feels like an afterthought. They set up some lights in front of a wall and they were like, okay, go. I do love Rue's opening for this promo. I think it is just so powerful of her to say it like that. And there are some funny moments, some unintentional, like when Miss Fame is like, I'm
intimidated by these girls. I'm not.
And of course, Katya coming in at the end and basically stealing the show.
I'm just here to like steal stuff.
I saw the intention and what they're trying to go for, trying to base it off of just personality to drive the whole thing, but what's in front of me, I just wasn't impressed by. We're again coming back to one that I kind of feel bad putting this low, but it's just what we're given. That being season 3, also this one is the lowest quality. I scoured the internet looking for the promo and I couldn't find a high quality one. Unlike the Black Void that we were given in season 2, season 3 has some really great lighting. There were some cool smoke machines and some effects. I think they were trying their best with what they were given. The queens look great, but again, they look great for what was expected at the time. By today's standards, especially with the lack of theme, just not really much to give. Those 3 promos are the only ones that I would say are not good. The rest of them are decent or really great.
Drag Race All-Stars returns, and Thursday, the queens are wild.
So next up, we have All Stars 2. Hear me out, please. It's only kind of a promo because they took all of the shots from the photo shoot and kind of spliced them together in a really cool stop motion type of thing. It looks great, and the queens, oh my god, they look incredible. Probably one of the best photo shoot promos ever. But as for the video promo, it's not really a video, you know? They took audio from the actual season to tease it, and I enjoy it a lot. I just don't think I can rank it any higher. I could have not even included it, but it lies in this weird gray area, and I'd rather have it than not have it, even if people do get mad at me for ranking it this low. This would be an amazing second promo for the season. Like, there's the first promo, like that's the full one, and this is the second one that's like the 30-second buffer in the commercial time. But this is the main one, and with all the potential there was for a promo with this cast, it was wasted.
Bring in the Rue Year with 13 new queens ready to rise to the runway.
Season 13 is up next. They look great. I love the pastel theme, but it's just not memorable. They're talking about the new year because this aired on New Year's Day. Everyone got a little one-liner, which, by the way, with the newer promos, that's something that's very prominent in the show. Everyone gets a little one-liner. Some are like, oh, I'm gonna snatch the crown, like I said earlier. But then they give some of the queens some lines that in hindsight make sense, but when they're first introduced, I mean, they just don't really make sense for the promo.
Leave hate in the cold.
Ready or hot? Here I come.
We get that here with Denali a little bit, but especially with Tina, unless you knew who Tina was beforehand. Why is she saying ready or hot? Like, I guess she's wearing her signature colors, so that makes sense enough. We'll get to my least favorite one of these one-liners in a little bit, but just keep that in mind. My big guess for why they throw in these signature one-liners that only make sense if you know the queen is for the viewers at their like hometown. I knew Tina before the show, so when I saw this promo, it made sense for me. It made sense for probably most of New York, but someone who's lived in the Midwest who just watches Drag Race, they probably aren't going to understand it as much. I'm probably nitpicking too much. The promo gets the job done. I mean, the theme is pastel, so I mean, you could do basically anything, and this is the fashion season if there's any fashion season. So all of the queens look great. There's just not a lot of substance. They're just all saying their little thing, and that's about it. It was just a safe promo, so I'm putting it at a low but safe spot.
In a world full of nines, be a 10.
Much like season 13's, I think season 10 is pretty safe, pretty good, but I just really have a hard time remembering it. There's a lot more energy in this one than some of the other promos, and that's a really great thing. I love the up-close camera work of all of the queens dancing. The whole X runway for season 10 is a really great idea. Starting out the promo with category is, bring it to the runway. It's a really great branding and kind of a nice transition from season 9's ending to season 10's beginning. It's really fun. That's the best thing I can say about it. The worst, the outfits. The outfits are not great. There's this rumor that's been going around since the season 10 promo has aired that they had to tone back the outfits because everyone in season 9 demolished the promo and allegedly made RuPaul look too bad or something. I really don't know if I believe that, but for season 10, a lot of these outfits I am just not a big fan of, outside of maybe Monet's and Aquaria's. All in all, everything about this promo is fun except for the outfits.
My fellow Americans, RuPaul's Drag Race Season 12 is here.
Season 12 has all the same problems that season 13 does. It's a very safe but effective promo. There's more of a theme, it's political, it's America. The thing that puts it higher is the choir, which I think is so stupid but so cool. The green screening, especially compared to the earlier seasons, is so much better now. Like, it took me a second to realize that they were on green screen instead of actual sets. It's super cohesive, and I think the best thing that I can say about this promo is out of any of the seasons, it sets up the vibe and the whole theme for the season the best. Like, we knew season 13 wasn't going to be a whole season based off of New Year's. It was just the promo to do at the time because the season was coming out on New Year's Day. But after watching season 12, you come back to the promo and you have a new appreciation for it because the whole season is really political. The promo sets the vibe really perfectly, and I'll definitely give it that, but outside of that, just a pretty safe promo.
From realms both earthbound and heavenly, I summon my legendary goddesses!
The idea of goddesses for a promo is such a great idea, and I think season 5, the outfits are great, but the execution for the video was interesting to say the least. We're back on green screen, and the best thing that I can say is that each of the queens get a moment to shine in the video. They're all different goddesses of different lands, and that's where I get tripped up the most, because some of them are goddesses of, you know, like Greek things, and then there's Coco, who's like the goddess of disco, and then there's horses that are really bad CGI running in the background, then there's dolphins. I don't think it looked great great back then, and I definitely don't think it looks good now, like the fire effects, especially on Ivy's thing, but I still appreciate them trying to do something cool, even if it didn't really pay off.
RuPaul's Drag Race is back, and it's bigger than ever.
Season 11 was the first promo that I remember seeing on TV and really being like, this is the year that I am watching Drag Race live. And I do think the promo still holds up pretty well. The big objects thing is a really cool idea, and I think the execution to the promo leaves me satisfied, but I still wanted a little more. The shot of Kahana swinging on the necklace, that shows the potential that this promo had, and it probably wasn't in the budget to do a lot of crazy things, but it would have been cool to have a little more like that. I really enjoy the colors of this promo especially. I think it's all super eye-catching. Rue and all the queens look really great, and one of my favorite things they did is actually having Vanjie in the promo. Previous queens who returned from other seasons weren't in the promo videos because they were like secret queens, and they did pose Vanjie as a secret queen, but she at least got to participate in the actual promo. For season 9 with Cynthia and All Stars 3 with BB, neither of them were in the promo videos. They were able to get shots and outfits, which is good, but because they were framed as surprise competitors in either episode 1 or episode 2, they couldn't be revealed in the promo. And especially for Cynthia, it really sucks because I often forget she's on season 9 because she wasn't in the promo. And her showcase in season 8 was just so heartwarming. Sorry, big tangent out of the way, let's move on.
Second chances are paramount. So rise, my queens. Rise!
All Star 6 is up next. I think this one has a special place in my heart because I was so hyped for this season. The colors are incredible, and on this big box set, it makes everyone look so flattering. I love the camera movement and how they're like getting really in their faces. Each of the queens came out with a one-liner catchphrase, and I think it's totally okay here because we knew the queens from previous seasons. The energy of this one is just unmatched, and then they slow it down at the end with that gorgeous, gorgeous lighting of them looking into like the sun, and they're just shining and glistening. They all look incredibly stunning. And this is another small thing that I really appreciate, them listing off all of the names and having a little pose for them at the end. It wraps it up really nicely. I really don't know how to put it. The editing on this one is spectacular, and I think that's what keeps up all the energy and pulls it all together.
The ultimate battle has begun. Sister against sister.
Another promo that lists the queens at the very end is All Stars 1, and I'm not sure if it should be this high, but there's something really charming about it. I haven't seen this promo before making the video. 2, 3, and All Stars 1 were the promos that I hadn't seen, and I honestly didn't know what to expect from it, from like the outfits that I saw for the promo, and what they did for the video tied it all together. Their outfits, along with the last challenge of the season, were giving very much comic book superhero, and that carried over into the video promo along with a video game-esque theme. They had each of the queens do a little pose and pretend to fight each other, even though I don't think they were in the same shot. But I just really like the detailing, like when they're taking damage and they start to flash. Even though they were just on a green screen again, there was a lot of precise choices made in order to make it look as visually pleasing as possible. They got the right nerdy gay editor to edit this one. It ends with RuPaul listing off each of the queens and really emphasizing his best girls, because this is still one of the best casts ever. All of them look great aside from Manila, who's looking crazy. At least that was her intention. And I can imagine if I saw this on a TV as a fan of the first 4 seasons, this would get me so hyped for the season to then be disappointed by the teams. I really didn't think I was going to rank this next one as high as I did, but it's so simple and it executes it just so well. Season 9 goes against basically everything that I've said I dislike up to this point. It's just in a black void, there's not much going on, but for some reason it works to its benefit because the theme is just all about the colors. They have each of the queens do a little pose or a little dance as an explosion of colors envelops them, and each of the explosions aligns with the colors on their outfits. Sometimes there's stars, sometimes there's feathers in the explosions. It just looks amazing. And I think it completely has to do with how each of these queens showed up for this promo. All of them had such a great outfit, and honestly, less is more at that point. We only see them for a short burst, but because it just looks so good, you want to watch it over and over again so you can catch each of the queens in their amazing look. Although it's not the most complex shoot on paper, you can tell that a lot of thought went into it, and that's honestly what ranks it so high.
Are you ready to go for the gold? My most legendary queens return to battle for the crown.
The best way to describe the All-Star Stars 3 promo is chaos, but in such a fun way. It's another promo where they each get a little one-liner, but again, not as bad for All Stars because we already know each of these queens. Like I mentioned earlier, BB wasn't in this promo, and I wish there was at least a little nod to her like being a secret queen, because that gets people really hyped and excited for what's to come. But those are the only two things that I could say that kind of take away from the promo, but not even really. The gold theming mixed with the set design is so visually pleasing to look at, and I really like it because though it's like an excessive amount of gold, it makes all of the queens pop. I loved pausing it and looking at the design for each of the rooms. All of them have little details that you can only pick up on if you've watched it like 20 times or pause to really look at that detail. Except for the balloon room, that one's a little random. And I want insight from one of the queens about the stage at the end. It's pretty clear that RuPaul at the top is just green screened in, but the blend between the green screen and the actual set is so seamless. It looks expensive and just a perfect introduction to the new season. And of course, my favorite part of the video is the chaotic breakdown at the end, set to Call Me Mother. There's no other song that could be here. Thorgy was smashing things. There was a really cool transition between Dayla and Morgan, and then Dayla gets hit in the head by a disco ball. It goes so fast and it is just so entertaining to the brain. This promo and one that's coming up make me so sad that we didn't get promos for All Stars 7 and 8. It's so cool seeing these queens back, and I feel like in the past they had a better understanding of how big it was. But I feel like we might be entering that specialness again based on how mediocre All Stars 8 was received.
This season, victory never tasted so sweet. Unwrap a world of imagination.
We're up to number 6 now. This one I had higher, but I started to move down when I compared it to the rest that we had, and that is season 14. Right out the gate, I love the idea of the set, and I think they did a really good job bringing it to life. I've probably watched it 10 times for this video now, and I was able to break down the set. It's pretty clear that they didn't have a full game board, obviously. I feel like they only had like 2 or 3 real spaces that they were shooting in, and then the green screen brought it all together. I've said brought it all together so much in this video, but it's true. A lot of the editing brings things together. They did a really good job making you think that this is a full game board that they're traveling on. Especially with the overhead shots, it's such a great touch making them look like little pieces on a game board. The colors for these promos, like I've said with a lot of the Drag Race promos, is just really visually pleasing. I wish they slightly shifted what they did with the crown for the promo because they're all running and grabbing it from each other, but that doesn't really go along with the board game theme. It's hard to explain what doesn't work for me about them like grabbing the crown from each other. I feel like it's just kind of an awkward visual. I don't know how to describe it, but every time someone grabs the crown, they then say their one-liner, which is definitely my biggest negative about this one. I'm not against one-liners. Like I said, I like them for All Stars, but I guess just watching all of these back to back, I got kind of tired of them. And season 14 is definitely the worst when it comes to it because sometimes the queens are just saying like random things with nothing behind it.
Now things are getting spicy.
It feels like a lot of the lines just don't really match up with what they're supposed to be doing, and that just really bothers me. And like I mentioned at the start of the video, we get to my least favorite one-liner out of all of them when Georges bites the book and then says,
Tastes absolutely Georges.
It's just so stupid, and I know that's what they were going for, but I didn't really enjoy it. There's a lot of fondant also that she had to chomp on. I feel bad for her because fondant is not good. And one last thing, I like how they established the candy bar, but they should have been fighting over that instead of the crown. Really emphasize how important that candy bar was for the twist of the season. A lot of really great ideas, pretty good execution, but it doesn't fully come together for me, so that's why it ranks high but not completely at the top. I've changed around the top 5 so much. Each of these entries has been number 1 at some point. It's basically splitting hairs at this point, and I feel like my opinion can change while still recording or editing this video.
This season, I'm going back to my roots, and you could probably use a touch-up too, honey.
But I have to keep going, and I think season 8 comes in next. The next best set that they've done for these promos, arguably better than season 14, is season 8. A retro hair salon with all of the details, the decorations, the colors, the visuals, like I've said so many times, look amazing. And out of every single promo theme, it is the most consistent from start to finish. They were going back to their roots for the 100th queen, doing a big celebration. This whole season was a lot about celebration and going back. The promo looks for retro, so it only made sense for the set to be retro too. And I don't really have a lot to say about this one in general. I don't think that there's very many negatives to talk about, and same for positives, honestly. Like, they had a vision and they executed it to a T. Like, there's not much more I can say. If they were ever to do another multi-room set, please look back at season 8 and understand what worked so well about this one.
Are you ready for a major move to MTV?
Up next, we have the latest promo as of recording this, that being season 15's, and it is just so polished. It's very clear what the goals for this promo were, and the budget that they had for the promo was perfect for it. A slick, energetic showcase of each of the queens with some amazing camera work. Something that stuck with me since the season is Sasha's behind the scenes, where she's working the camera like no other person, and you know the floor that's constantly changing below them. From what I've heard, I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that was actually lighting up while they were there, which is so cool. All I gotta say is season 16 has a lot to live up to because this MTV era of the show started off so strong. Coming in at number 3, this was number 1 for the longest time, but I bumped it down just a little bit because I love the concept, but the other two just have a little more going on. Coming in at number 3 is All Stars 4 with one of the coolest concepts of them chipping at the ice block with the crown frozen inside. The slow-mo shots of the ice flying up with the queens looking gorgeous is one of my favorite visuals of any promo, if not my favorite. And in one of the promos, there's a cover of Carol of the Bells set to each of their names and saying something that they're gonna do on the season. It was genius marketing because the season was coming out during December, and I really just have nothing negative to say about it. The Carol of the Bells promo especially has stuck with me so closely. Whenever I hear that song or whenever I think about winter and Christmas, it all links together and it makes me think about All Stars 4. And that's when you know you have good marketing and just a good promo in general. The visual of the ice, how cool everything is, the song they used, it sticks with you. And then it gets linked back to other feelings, and again, just great marketing. This is so tough to rank the top 2 because I feel like one has such a cool consistent theme, while the other has really amazing visuals that don't all come together, but I don't really care. So in that case, I'm gonna put season 4 at number 2. This promo was all about Rue creating drag robots, and so many of the visuals have stuck with me for so long. The queen spinning in multiple locations getting created, the spaceship type of thing that Rue is on, the little detailed references on the control panel, but especially the way Rue acts in this is top notch. One of my biggest pet peeves about the promos that I saved until now, because it's kind of a problem for all of them except for season 4 and probably 7, is that Rue is so disconnected from all of the promos and is just trying to look beautiful, which she does, but it makes it more special when she really is into one of the promos, and it seems like she was for season 4. We so often just see Rue in front of a green screen in a void saying her lines, and I know that's because her schedule doesn't really permit her for doing too much more, but again, it just makes season 4's feel so much more special. This was the first season to give the queens a pretty unique theme for their promo, and I think they all did really great. The visual editing choices add to the techie side of things, and yeah, this one could definitely be number 1. Probably while I edit this, I'll decide that it's number 1 and then go back. So what promo would I be going back to for number 1? That is season 6. I know it's not the most innovative answer. A lot of the fandom says that season 6 is the best promo, and honestly, after watching it so many times, I have to agree. There's other promos like season 8 or season 4 that have a lot more consistent visuals and themes, and I think that's great, but for some reason, the visuals in this one are so striking. Like I said with some of the promos, there's a black or white void where there's nothing in the background, and it's more so because they didn't have the budget or didn't really know what to do. But like with season 9, where I feel like it was more of a choice, the black void in season 6 is played with constantly, so it doesn't really get boring. They had this pink lighting that they worked with for the entire promo, and the black void really juxtaposes the lighting, and it makes anything that's being hit by the lights shine even more. The choices of visuals are so random. It makes sense with like the terminology they were using at the time, but I mean, like, you have to really think about it. You know, things like Gia and Jocelyn serving, or Magnolia Crawford being in tea or like kind of milk or whatever. The way everything's played in the promo, I think, is what makes it stick with someone. Like, I think the funny Drag Race promos, they have their own merit, but when they're more serious and seductive, it has much more of an impact. So are Darian and Adore jackhammering in a void with no context? Yes, but it just looks so cool, and there's constant visuals in this promo that pop into my mind randomly, and I think that's the sign of great marketing. But of course, I cannot forget the most iconic visual to come out of this promo, and basically any promo and a lot of Drag Race in general, that being Bianca Del Rio in the library. This visual is probably the reason a lot of you clicked on the video in the first place. She looks great, and it's just an amazing shot. And I think that is the best thing that I can say about this promo. That probably is what is going to keep it at number 1. There was so much vision behind each of the sets and what the queens were gonna do. And overall, it just ended up paying off so well. I feel like promos on Drag Race are something that we appreciate in the moment, but once the season starts to air, we forget about it because it's the thing to get us hyped up, but once we're in it, we don't always need to look back. So bringing some love back to what starts us off for each season of Drag Race, I think is really important. And there's just so much love and dedication that goes into each of these promos. This video took a lot longer than I honestly thought it was going to, talking about promos that are only lasting like a minute long. But thank you so much for sticking around and letting me geek out in front of you. I don't have a lot of updates to give, I just appreciate all of your support. Thanks for watching, I'll see you soon with another video.